Women around the world have used abortion to control their reproduction at every point in history and in every known society, regardless of the legalities.
According to the Webster Dictionary, an abortion is a medical procedure used to end a pregnancy and cause the death of a fetus.
And today, 21% of all U.S. pregnancies end in abortion.
While there are positives to some pro-life legislation, the restrictions on abortions are becoming too overbearing. Laws now inhibit women's safety and create too many hurdles.
Before the ruling of Roe v. Wade in 1973, getting an abortion was illegal.
Women faced many challenges in pursuing abortions, including the inconvenient locations of the clinics willing to perform the abortion and the extremely high expenses associated with it. This made it nearly impossible for women in the lower class to get an abortion, which evidently caused a rise in self-induced procedures.
Illegal abortions made up 60% of pregnancy-related deaths in 1965.
Having and even considering an abortion came along with a lot of shame.
In return for the modification of the laws regarding abortions, many protests began boiling from religious groups that were pro-life.
These protesters and many other people who were pro-life argued that abortion at any stage of a pregnancy was nothing short of a murder.
Anyway, while looking beyond the protests in 1973, the Supreme Court's ruling in Roe v. Wade gave women the legal right to make their own personal decision.
Just as things were turning around for women's reproductive rights, legislation at both state and federal levels once again began to put up barriers and obstacles for women wanting abortions.
Laws most often included bans on late-term abortions, restrictions on medication abortion, enforcement of waiting periods, informed consent requirements, and targeted regulation of abortion provider regulation.
In 2003, Congress passed and President George W. Bush signed the Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act, which partially criminalizes certain abortion procedures in second trimester of pregnancy.
However, doctors say these procedures in extreme circumstances in which the woman's life is threatened are often the safest and best way to protect the woman's health.
Additionally, relatively recent legislations have made getting an abortion more difficult economically.
For example, the Hyde Amendment, which was passed in 1976.
It withholds federal Medicaid funding for abortions, which already can be expensive for some people.
Planned Parenthood estimates that in the United States, an abortion costs between $300 and $950.
Nationally, only 1 in 10 women are covered by Medicaid.
So, the Hyde Amendment makes it more difficult for low-income women to access health care options.
By restricting Medicaid funding for abortion, 1 in 4 low-income women who would like to obtain abortions are forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy to term.
In the United States, only 17 states, all under Medicare, use public funds to pay for abortions for some low-income women.
So, about 14% of all abortions in the United States are paid for with public funds, which are virtually all from state.
An additional hurdle that pregnant women have to jump over is the lack of abortion clinics in their area.
Although abortion is technically legal in every state, it is not necessarily available in every state.
For example, in Mississippi, there is only 1 abortion clinic for the entire state, and it performs abortions if the fetus is under 16 weeks old only.
86% of U.S. counties do not have a physician to provide abortions.
And only making it worse, in 2015 alone, conservative lawmakers considered nearly 400 bills to limit a woman's access to legal abortion, and 57 new restrictions were passed.
Abortion has become a fierce political debate between 2 major parties, with Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders voting to protect women's rights to choose, and Donald Trump adopting an anti-abortion stance. These 3 primary election candidates have very different positions on the abortion issues, showing no clear future for women's reproductive rights.
Politicians need to cease inserting themselves in the most private and personal medical decision between a woman and her doctor, and grant women the inalienable right to have freedom over their bodies and decisions.
Finally, Now that abortion is legal, it has become one of the safest medical procedures in the United States, with a safety record of over 99%.
Therefore, the choice to have an abortion should be completely legal, and up to the women enduring it. After all, how can we continue to call ourselves the land of the free if women don't even have the control over their bodies and personal decisions they deserve?